Virtual TrekCon! Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Ray Carsillo in beautiful Los Angeles, California. That is my best friend in the entire world, Lee Elias, over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Lee, we are back at Virtual TrekCon, and of course, we are the geeks who like sports. Lee, how are you doing today, my friend?
Ray, I'm blessed that I get to do a lot of the things in my life that I love. But when I get to do Virtual TrekCon, and be on it, be part of a panel, to be thought of as an expert in a property that I love so very much, with all of you listening, all of you watching, we should also welcome in our normal audience of Geeks Who Like Sports. For those of you who listen to the show, this is going to be like the ultimate mashup that we've ever done. But is a tremendous pride, honor, and above all, gratitude, Ray. I mean that I get to be here as a major Trek fan, right, throughout my entire life. And for those of you watching again, I was the athlete in high school. Ray can attest that I was quite the athlete. Athletics has kind of been my life, but I was a huge geek, which is also why the show Geeks Who Like Sports exists. So, for example, Ray, I've talked to you about this once before. In high school at lunch, all the athletes would sit at a table, all the jocks. And then there was one jock, Ray, me, sitting with all the kind of shorter, smaller kids talking Star Trek all day at lunch. And they called me geek, they called me nerd. But who has the show? Who's at TrekCon now, Ray? Me. Right. And we're not going to go into it. We're not going to go into it. You guys know where I'm coming from, Ray. Honestly, a lot of gratitude. I want to thank everyone involved with Virtual TrekCon. All of you watching with us today. It means so much to us. And again, listen, Ray and I are recording this right now, but I am in here live with you in the chat. Wherever the chat is on the screen, I'm here with you today. And I am so excited, Ray, to be bringing the all-star Trek baseball teams. And the rules are going to be very simple, Ray. We have two teams today for you. One, and I'll explain who it is in a second, kind of got a team of heroes. We got a team of villains. And Ray, the rules are this, for those of you listening, because we want you to suggest people throughout the entire episode here. But the rules are this. We're keeping it primarily to main characters and or kind of sub-main characters, right? So we're not for sure, right? We're not going too far off the beaten trail here or the galactical trail here. I guess in this, we're not trekking too far from the stars. I'm a dad, people. Just do it with me. All right. So that's kind of the first rule. The second rule is this. No kind of superpowers. Now, I don't mean super strength. I mean, they can't change their bodies. They have to be humanoid.
Shapeshifters kind of things, yeah.
Right. So the Dominion is kind of out. Shapeshifters are out. It's an unfair advantage. So you have to appear in the game as you are, if that makes sense. Right. So, and that's just to make this kind of fair for both sides. Okay. And again, make sure that throughout the entire episode here, you tell us who you think would be good, where, why, when, how, as you understand. Okay, so let me set up the situation here, Ray. We're going to be extending Star Trek Deep Space Nine today. I am creating a new episode of Deep Space Nine. Everybody knows Ben Sisko is a huge baseball fan, and Q has appeared. He wants to have some fun, and he's challenged Ben Sisko to an actual game, and Ben Sisko has to choose his team, and then Q is going to choose his team, and this is actually an extension from our previous Virtual TrekCon panel where we went through the sports of Star Trek, and we actually picked some teams. So the team names today, Ray, the heroes, if you will, are going to be the Niners. It's got to be the Niners for Ben Sisko.
Right out of Take Me Out for the whole Hollow Suite episode, absolutely.
And Q's team, which was actually ranked the most powerful team in our last panel, Q's Omnipotence is the other team. So we're going to go through the Niners first. Then we're going to go through Q's team. You're going to tell us if you agree, disagree. We got a whole lineup. We got a batting order. And then we'll decide at the end who wins, right? That's very important.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Again, we got, every position has been covered. We've got full bullpens. We are ready to go. I mean,
we put time into this.
We did. We worked well into the evening coming up with who should be part of each team, where they should play. There was not much arguing.
Debate, healthy debate. And Ray, at one point we were talking, and I'm thinking to myself, if my wife comes out and asks me, what am I doing? Like, I have to tell her, well, Ray and I are creating a baseball team based off of Star Trek characters for work.
Right. You're producing a panel. Yeah, absolutely. And what's great about this too is that, like, while Lee is probably more the athlete, I would probably say I'm a little bit more the baseball guy, but I also definitely Lee is definitely more the Star Trek guy, right? So this actually worked out where like Lee's like Star Trek and baseball's like this, and then mine's like this.
Yeah.
So like it came together perfectly
balanced, as all things should be.
Yes, exactly. So Lee, should we get into it? Should we get into our
Yeah.
first? Well, obviously the manager for Sisko's Niners is probably the easiest one.
Right. So Sisko's Niners manager, drum roll, right? Is
it's Ben Sisko.
Okay. And again, we used baseball pictures as much as we could in this. But actually, look, Ben Sisko, Captain Sisko, one of my favorite characters. Deep Space Nine was one of my favorite shows. I know there's always been debate on that. But I love that we have the sports connection here. So obviously he knows the most about baseball, in my opinion, from all Star Trek characters, right? So it would make sense that he's the manager of the team just because of his knowledge. He would have to be there, right? But let's dive into the lineup. We're going to start with pitching, okay?
Yes.
So here it is, everybody. I know you're ready for this. The starting pitcher for the Niners. You all know him. You all love him. Jean-Luc Picard. And we have reasons for this. Ray, would you like to dive into some of these reasons?
So yeah, and of course, again, with Q, we can pull anybody from anywhere with his abilities and whatnot. So when Sisko puts together the lineup card, hands it over to the umpire, Jean-Luc Picard is the starting pitcher. A few reasons. First off, we know he can throw because we just saw what Patrick Stewart did in that commercial during the Super Bowl.
Yeah, kind of threw, but yes,
kind of threw. He threw a cartoon, but it still worked. But no,
mountain.
Yes, it was a great commercial. Seriously, honestly though, he is he's a fastball pitcher. That's his primary pitch, because whenever you think of engage, that is probably the most engage worthy pitch. And also, we'll get into this more later, but his catcher is Will Riker.
Yeah, it's got to be number one.
So, and the number one pitch is a fastball. So it's Jean-Luc Picard. But again, also you want a veteran on the mound, for this matchup of great importance, universal freedom and everything on the line, possibly. Jean-Luc Picard, cool under pressure. He's your guy on the mound, ready to take the ball in Game 7. Yeah, there's nothing else to say.
Yeah, and then, we have to have some fun with this too. First off, I want to give a big shout out to our producer and editor, Caitlin and Savi, who are helping us with this today. That's where all the switches are coming in, and they put a lot of these pictures together for us. And I love this picture because for those of you listening, you can hear it in your head. The line that he says pretty close to the scene is, "The line must be drawn here." I know it's not this scene. I know it's later in the movie, but that makes sense for a pitcher. But I could just totally see him, Ray, on the mound, with Riker as catcher. Again, we'll get to him in a minute. But, number one's always the call. For obvious reasons. And he just nods and he goes, "Make it so." And he throws the ball, right? Anyway, look, it might be campy, people, but it's true. Okay. We got to name some more pitches for him. I think, again, the Engage Express is his fastball. He doesn't have much more than that. So starting pitcher, Jean-Luc Picard, off to a strong start here. Now we're going to go through some middle relievers now. We've got 3 picked out. Okay. So the first one we're going to do is Data. All right. Data, obviously, an android. Pitching's probably the right place for him to do. He can compute things faster than everybody else. In a middle reliever, Ray, you want this guy on the mound. You want a guy that's only going to do an inning or two, knows his job, does it well, and then doesn't do enough to mess it up for himself.
Right. Immediately, and then he's out of the game, and he gets his handshakes in the dugout, and then moving along. Just keep it moving. That's Data, right? Jean-Luc gives us a solid 5, maybe 6. Then we hand it over the Data for the 7th before we then pass it along further into the bullpen. Lee, do you want to introduce our I'm actually very excited for our next reliever because
me too. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it's Liam Shaw is our next reliever, and to me, this is like the workhorse guy who's been in the league for like 25 years. You need an out. You need to get out of a jam. He's just gritty. Like if they still allowed a spitball, he would definitely use a spitball.
It's very true.
Like, so I definitely think that Liam Shaw, like he comes in, gets out of it. If Data gets into a jam, you call on Shaw. And I think that this is a great guy to come in just for just that spot of relief, gets out of a jam. Here we go. Middle relief guy.
Yeah, look, standout from season 3 of Picard. I think everybody here would agree on that. Easily my favorite character from that season, along with one other person we'll talk about later. But he's mean, Ray. He's mean. You get to those later innings, especially in the dog days of summer. You want this guy on the mound to get it up before the closer. All right, because he's going to get the job done. If there's anything we know about him, with no nonsense, no horseplay, Liam Shaw is my pick. Now the next reliever, is someone whom I love very much. It's Captain Janeway.
Mhm.
Again, calculated to the book, knows her job, gets it done. You can put her in a very tight situation. You can put her under a lot of pressure. She's going to get to where you need to be. She might even finish the game. Right?
Well, and I was about to say, like, people forget that, like, sometimes a closer doesn't always face the heart of the lineup in the 9th inning. Sometimes you need to get the biggest outs in the 8th inning,
Right.
And that's when you call on Janeway, right? Like, it could be the 3, 4, 5 hitters for the villains coming up in the 8th inning, and you don't want to go to your closer too early. So here comes Janeway, just as good as your closer, and knows that her outs are just as important. But like you said, Lee, if things go depending on how they go, she could be the closer in a pinch if need be.
Yeah, I think I would call her pitch the slipstream. Again, those of you who watched Voyager know what I'm talking about.
Kind of like a slider there.
Yeah. I mean, like I always say about this Janeway, she took out the Borg till she didn't. Those of you watching will understand. Right? That slipstream. Now, look, that brings us to our closer. Now, when you have a closing pitcher, Ray, and again, you while I am the athlete, as you said, you've been watching baseball intently your entire life. Huge fan. Closer. Ray's a big Yankees fan. Mariano Rivera, greatest closer in history in my lifetime, in my opinion. So you need someone you're not going to beat, right? That was the thing about Rivera until the very end of his career. If he came in, the game's over.
Yes.
And we had to pick someone where when he comes in, the game's over. Do you want to introduce the closing pitcher here, buddy?
Yeah. And the other reason why we picked him is also you need to be calm. You need to be cool and collected. You need to have a short memory. On the off chance that you do blow it, you just move right on. You just on to the next one. And of course, there'd be no other better person for this spot than Spock.
Mr.
Right?
Spock.
Yes, and of course he has multiple pitches, including the split finger fastball and the Vulcan changeup.
The double split finger fastball. Right?
Yes, exactly. Right. So he's got the double split finger fastball, and he closes just a little bit for the Vulcan change. That is a nasty, nasty combination. Is to face in the 9th inning of any ball game. And we all know that Vulcans are also very good at baseball. So that, again, throwing back to taking it to the Hall Suite, Spock is the guy to lock things down in the 9th inning.
Yeah, and you know what I love about Spock here, Ray, in addition to that? So he has the Vulcan strength, but he has that half-human side of him, too. So while he might not be showing any emotion, all right, because he doesn't do that, he understands what it means. Because I think a traditional Vulcan might look at this kind of like, it is what it is, right? We win or lose it's not logical. He wants to win, and I want Spock closing the game for me with the Niners. Okay, that's just the pitchers, people. We haven't even gotten to the lineup yet. Got a lot of surprises in here.
Good the lineup I'm really excited about because I feel like the pitchers were a bit almost I don't want to say predictable, but definitely I think lent themselves more to their spots. But we're going to kick things off with the catcher. We kind of spoiled it a little bit. Obviously, if Jean-Luc is on they call it a battery for a reason, right? Like if the pitcher and catcher, they have to be in tandem. They have to know what the other one's doing. And even if the catcher puts down something that the pitcher doesn't like, the pitcher has that comfort level to be like, and to shake them off, right? And I think that there's no better relationship, obviously, that summarizes this than Jean-Luc on the mound and Will Riker behind the plate. So Will Riker is our catcher. So
yeah, no, Riker's a perfect choice. It's funny. I can kind of visualize him in the catcher's pads doing the Riker maneuver and just for whatever reason stepping over home plate to crouch down. I hope you're all visualizing that with me. But no, look, Picard and Riker are a natural duo from the mound all the way to home plate. And look, I would trust Riker to call the game. You know, when you think of Next Generation, Picard, whatever you want to think about with Riker and Picard, Riker makes the hard choices every once in a while, but Picard at the end of the day has to say yes or no, right? Yeah. So this kind of flows. And again, we joked about it, but number one, fastball is always the number one pitch. This just works. You can hear Picard saying number one and him doing yes, Captain. Okay, so Will Riker is your catcher. Also, tall, strong, guy can hit. You know
he's got a catcher's build. He's got a catcher's build.
For
absolutely.
Sure. Yeah, and like that was good. That was the only hard part of the pitching was that we had to decide like, well, who can't hit but has some either pitching kind of mentality, or maybe they can hit. So there you go. All right, Will Riker, catcher, first base. Now this is going to be a surprise pick for a lot of people.
Yes.
Okay. In fact, this is one of those outside the wall picks. But when I think of first base, Ray, I'm thinking, okay, this is somebody's got to be stationary, somebody strong, someone who can catch the ball, but maybe doesn't need to have all the athleticism in the world to play that position, but you want someone strong there. So I picked it I'll take full responsibility. It's Morn. It's Morn. He's the first baseman. You know, this guy only hits dingers. This guy doesn't hit doubles. He hits dingers or he doesn't hit. All right. And when it comes to first base, he stands there. He sits there just like he sat in Quark's bar. He catches the ball. You're out. He's intimidating. You're not going to run right by this guy without being like, sorry. Morn's my pick.
Yeah.
Fight
the
me
more
on.
I look at that picture, the more I think he looks like Kyle Schwarber. Or
He's not even a first baseman, but he could be for sure.
Yeah, no, for sure. Maybe an Andres Galarraga, a throwback there to the big cat. So
more. Look, he looks like it. Can you imagine staring at that on a pickoff?
No,
play?
he's got the first baseman demeanor, absolutely.
Easily. All right,
for sure.
Right.
So after Morn comes, this was an interesting one. We need somebody who could just kind of be a solid all-around player, like kind of like Mario and Mario Kart, right? Where it's just everything across the board is kind of average. He's not too hot, not too cold, not too particularly athletic, but he's also definitely, you could see him making the plays that he needs to make. We went with Jonathan Archer.
Yeah,
Jonathan Archer from Enterprise there for our second baseman. Steady, sure-handed, good defense up the middle. Probably not going to hit a lot of home runs, but he'll probably get a big hit. He can come in the clutch when you need him to.
He can run. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's definitely some, a good all-around baseball guy. And I can definitely see Scott Bakula being a second baseman.
I was going to say second base, second sci-fi series. Really hoping that he comes back in the new Quantum Leap series. I'm not going to lie to you. That's a totally different show, totally different property. By putting it out there, I really need Sam Beckett to return in Quantum Leap. For anybody listening that might be a producer out in California, please bring him back. Okay. No, but Jonathan Archer, again, like you said, right, kind of a steady presence at second base. Everybody can see him. Like, he's a guy that can make some good calls. I'm not saying the other players on the team can't, but as someone at the early stages of, really pre-Starfleet, I like that he's there, right? So Jonathan Archer there. Now, going over to third base, we'll come back to shortstop. You got to have someone athletic here, someone strong, someone a little mean, right? When you think about it, and last line defense, we picked 7 of 9. And I think it's a great pick, depending on what stage of her Borg implants you want to be at. 7 of 9 is our third baseman. I think she's the perfect pick for this. Again, the last person you're going to see before rounding for home. We picked a mean team here in a lot of ways. All right. This is not a team that's just going to sit down, right? You can see that. That was one of the hard things about picking the team. There's a lot of characters in Star Trek that, I'm not going to lie to you, my friends, frankly, just aren't athletic enough or don't have that killer instinct, in my opinion. But 7 of 9 is not one of those people.
Well, and that's the thing too, is that you mentioned her Borg implants and everything. It's a hot corner. It's called the hot corner for a reason, right? So she's going to have a little bit heightened reflexes. She's going to have a stronger arm to make the deep throw from the hole, possibly. So 7 of 9 definitely, I think, fits into what you would want out of a person playing over at third base. Right. So good on her. But now we move over to this one of the stars of the team.
Yeah, and we had debate over this. This was hard. This was a hard one.
Because he was either going to be shortstop or center field, because those to me are the two probably most glorious positions.
They're the diva baseball positions, we'll call them today.
Right, exactly. But we ended up putting him at short.
Had to be on the field somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Captain Kirk, James Tiberius Kirk. Absolutely had to be at shortstop. I think that he obviously just, again, you think of for me as a Yankee fan, you think of a Derek Jeter, right? You think of a Omar Vizquel. You think of an Ozzie Smith. You think of, I could actually see Kirk doing a backflip maybe or something, probably landing on his face, or trying at least him no landing on his face, because like the Wizard of Oz. But I think I
can see, Ray, that our producer Caitlin chose young Captain Kirk.
Yes,
from the newer series.
Yes,
and you and I know him as William Shatner.
But yes, there we go. Okay,
I knew she was saving that. But either way, you win here, if you know what I'm saying. Right. This is more of the diva Kirk, if you know what I'm saying. But producer Caitlin, we'll let you. Hey, what's up, Captain Kirk?
There we go. Yeah, I know. I kept looking at the picture, and I'm like, "That's the picture she shows."
No, I think I knew where she was going with that one. But hey, listen. She's part of the show, right? She could.
To be fair, yes. And to be fair, that picture, that version of Kirk, probably is more shortstop-esque than William.
I'd want that guy to be the shortstop. Okay, no offense, William Shatner. You're in your 90s now. That kid looks pretty good there. But yeah, no, Captain Kirk, and like the best part was, not to exaggerate, but him making any kind of call on the field is going to be hilarious.
Yes.
Imagine him just screaming at people, "I'm not going to do the con thing. Don't wait. I want to. I'm not going to do it." Okay. If Khan were to come up to bat for the other team, wink. God. Okay. No, we're not doing it. We're not doing it. Okay. Moving left field. Let's get to the outfield here. Left field. I felt pretty strongly about this one, Ray, when we were discussing it. I said this person needs to be on the field. A really positive role model, strong character, stood by your guard. B'Elanna Torres is going to be out there in left field for us. Again, strong arm. She has a Klingon strength. She has to be there. I could see
her a solid hitter.
Yeah, she could throw from left field to first base right to Morn. pretty quick, pretty hard. And I just think she has to be on the field.
Yeah, no, I think again, this is you want somebody that you can trust in left field. Not necessarily going to steal the show, but somebody that when you plug them into the lineup, they're going to be there every day. They're going to make the plays they need to make. And again, she's got to have a solid bat in the lineup. Again, with that Klingon strength. So yeah, absolutely, B'Elanna Torres, a solid pick. Moving over now to center field.
Mm-hmm. Needed a diva.
Yeah, this is
who's another diva, right? We
another
need
diva position. Yeah, obviously, and again, he comes from someone where again you kind of don't expect it. His lineage, in a weird way, actually kind of like, what it is? It's like Ken Griffey and Ken Griffey Jr. being on the field.
That's a really good I didn't think of that last night, but that is a perfect analogy for this.
I mean, he's not quite, shagging fly balls in front of his dad and left because obviously his dad in the mound, but Jack Crusher is going to be our center fielder.
Newer character.
Yes.
From Picard. Really enjoyed his performance as the actor. But yeah, no, listen, there's a few things I love about Jack Crusher in center field. Obviously, his father, Jean-Luc Picard, spoiler, I guess. Sorry. It's been long enough. If you haven't seen it, I don't know what to tell you if you haven't seen it.
We're a virtual TrekCon. I hope everybody knows.
You should probably know that. But I like having his father in the field. I also love the idea of Kirk and him on the same field. Because I don't think that this is one of those they have to get along.
Sure.
But they might not get along. But it makes for some juicy storylines during the season.
Yeah.
Jack Crusher, though, really love him. A little bit of a trickster, knows how to get out of a sticky situation. Athletic, has to be on the field. I won't say anything about his space in the show and his abilities. We'll just say that. But I think him on the field with all of these other characters will only help him in his career. People will know what I mean by that. Jack Crusher, strong pick. Picard had, again, between him and Shaw, some really great new characters that I'm going to be honest with you, I hope we see again. But Jack Crusher's there. Let's move over to right field. Okay.
Yeah, well, just before we go to right field, I just also want to mention, you mentioned it almost like a Bronx Zoo scenario. And like I could see Kirk actually saying, like, I'm the straw that stirs the drink. Crusher can only steer it bad. Kind of like Reggie. For those who don't know, that's a Reggie Jackson versus Thurman Munson thing way back in the 70s for the Yankees when they won championships. But boy, did they hate each other. So you could have that conflict there. But right field, this was a fun one. This one I immediately put that when we were talking with Lee, I was like, immediately, this has to be my right fielder because he's another Vulcan. And the idea is that, like most Vulcans, super calm, super chill. But then, especially for him, I could see him. He gets called out at strike 3 at the home plate or whatever, and he goes into the dugout and finally lets his emotions loose. Takes a Gatorade cooler and throws it onto the field. Tuvok is our right fielder. Again, also great strength. Can definitely make the throws from right. It felt like a natural fit.
It's very logical. Yeah.
And absolutely, and again, it fits into that. Like again, I think very much of very much again Yankee types of football, Neil, or the strength of an Aaron Judge. Right field, Tuvok.
And the actor Tim Russ actually has a nice name for baseball too. But yes, Tuvok, absolutely in right field. So you got a strong outfield there between Torres, Crusher, and Tuvok. Almost sounds like a line or something like that you're going to put out there. Now, many of you will notice there's probably one character that you're all saying that, well, how did they not name that guy? Right? And again, if you're watching this, put in the comments who we're talking about. Wait, this team does have a DH.
Yeah, of course.
As all teams do now. Okay.
Yes,
again, I'm wearing my Phillies jersey. Universal DH. There's only one. This was not a debate. It was very easy. Worf is the DH. So I love that picture of him. For those of you listening, he's just staring you down. This is the guy you want batting when the game's on the line. Okay,
Absolutely.
because you know that today is a good day to hit. All right, and it's going to make sense for him to be the DH of the team. Doesn't need to be in the field. Can if you really need him to.
In a pinch, he's a backup first baseman,
There you
right? We
go,
know
right?
again from the Holosuite
If
episode
Morn's
that
not pulling his weight, like literally not pulling his weight,
yes,
Worf is in the game. But whether you want Lieutenant Commander Worf, Commander Worf, I don't care. He's my DH. I would be very comfortable with him on the line. Guy's going to live and die for the team, 100%.
yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
So that is your positional players for Sisko's Niners, but no team is complete without a batting order, Ray.
Correct.
Okay, so we're going to switch now to the batting order for the Niners, at least as we see it today. Okay,
Yes.
Ray, you want to start? Would you like me to start?
I can start. You know, I mentioned Kyle Schwarber earlier, and we discussed this because like there's a couple of different theories about what you can do with batting orders. You want speed at the top and the bottom, with the power in the middle. You want the power more evenly distributed, and with Morn kind of being that Kyle Schwarber type of hitter, we feel we're going to have him batting leadoff. So we're going to have Morn right there at the top, leading off, ready to hit dingers, put up the Niners 1-0.
Yeah, and like that's I gotta say it again. He's either hitting a home run or he's striking out, maybe a walk. All right, once in a while.
Yeah,
but like
the three true outcomes of hitters like him. Yeah.
Right, he's the punch in the mouth at the beginning of the lineup. He's either gonna do something or he's not. Right, but Morn is number one, followed very quickly and swiftly by Captain Kirk. All right, yes. Captain Kirk's going to be second. Speed off the bat, probably not hitting too many home runs, but this is a guy that can get all around the base path with his ability. Plus, he's got the swagger you want for a second hitter. You know, if you get Morn out or Morn hits a home run, you got to face this guy now. Yeah, I'm comfortable with him being
again. It's the Derek Jeter move. It's you put your shortstop in the 2-hole, and arguably maybe your best hitter overall in the 2-hole.
Right.
Although Crusher and a couple others might have something to say about that, but we're very comfortable with Kirk there in the 2 spot. Moving on to 3. Again, you want a very solid overall hitter. You're going to want somebody who's going to make contact. Also, maybe get on base to kind of start setting guys up, but also could drive in Kirk with the double or their own home run. And again, we go to Belana Torres out of left field. Our left fielder will be batting third in this lineup.
Yeah, well, I also say too, if somehow they get 2 outs right away at the top of the lineup. Again, she's a fighter, right? She's not.
And she can go yard too. Yeah.
Yeah, she's not just going to lay down for you with 2 outs. She's going to keep trying to go. But what if you don't get 2 outs? What if these people are all on base and the bases are loaded? Who comes up to bat? Number 4, the cleanup man, Worf. Our DH is number 4. He's a killer. He's ready to go. He can hold a very, very heavy bat and hit very, very long home runs. He has to be there, Ray. I mean, Worf is the power hitter of this group.
Yes. If he's not hitting 500-foot dingers, I don't know what's happening. He has to be hitting moonshots every day, and I expect that out of Worf, and he expects that of himself. I'm sure
he does. Absolutely.
Moving into the 5-hole, again, I talked about how well overall of a player I think he would be. Tuvok. Tuvok will be in the 5-hole. I think, again, continuing hope, trying to get that big inning. Say Worf doesn't get the home run. Say Worf gets a walk or only gets a double for whatever reason. Tuvok then can probably, again, start trying to get everybody bat around. We want a big inning. We'll put a crooked number on the board. How do you keep that going? Tuvok also protecting Worf in the lineup so they can't just pitch around Worf.
Right. You can't have Captain strikeout out after Worf, right? You got to have someone, again, logical that can think this through, get on base. Tuvok is that character. And again, like when you get to this kind of middle part of the lineup, you want some strategy, you want some tactical type players, right? This isn't about power anymore. That's why the next person's 7 of 9. Again, so you follow up, logic with brute force once again. A little bit of anger, a little bit of you can't beat me. So 7 of 9 comes next at the 6th spot.
Yeah, absolutely. I could imagine her being kind of like a Robin Ventura at the plate, which I think would be, which I think again would be a very much would be that prototypical 6 hitter. So
But Ray, before we move on, I just realized the next 3 batters all have ER at the end of their name. That's pretty funny.
Huh. Well, there you go.
Yeah,
and that funny. And then was kicking it off with Riker. Will Riker, of course, will be our number 7 hitter. Catcher, you don't want him. He's not fast enough to be the number 9 guy, but he's got some pop in that bat. He can keep the inning going. Maybe start, if say the first 6 folks sit down in a row, you wouldn't mind him leading off the top of the 3rd. Will Riker, our catcher at the 7 spot. So
it's a great pick. Followed right there by our friend Jack Crusher. And he's going to be there again. A lot of speed, a lot of momentum, and get at the bottom of the lineup. You want opportunities, right? And these people are going to get opportunities to get on base. Hopefully, you get the top of the lineup back out there. Number 8, Crusher.
Well, and that's the thing too, is that you have the 8. Say you have the 8 and 9 guys get on, right? It's almost like a second chance now, and then suddenly Morn becomes your 3 hitter,
right?
Depending on how the lineup goes and how things work out.
We should also mention too, young Jack Crusher has the opportunity to take that last name and make it his nickname, the Crusher. Right.
Yeah.
But he's young. So that's why he's at the bottom.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, and then number 9, I think, again, I got just a good all-around player, a guy who could be a second leadoff man, right? Because that's also the idea of the 9 hitters, that sometimes the way the lineup works is that come around the 3rd inning, the number 9 guy might be leading off. Jonathan Archer.
Yes.
So Jonathan Archer is our number 9
guy. Solid bottom lineup guy, right? Again, to bring it back around to the top of the lineup. So look, that's it. That is the batting order and your Niners team. Okay, so obviously comment if you're watching this live at the TrekCon. Comment if you agree, disagree, other characters you think would be there. Again, we purposely did not go off the beaten path. We said that before, right? I know there's some other characters here that would fit into this, but we want to make sure that everybody knows who we're talking about. So that is the Niners. In a moment, we are going to turn our attention to the Q Omnipotence. I'm sorry, the Q Omnipotence. It's so hard to say. Q Omnipotence team, the dark side. Oh, wait, not on this call. The other team, the bad guy team, is coming up next after this insanely important message. Ray, that was interesting. That was interesting.
What was that? I threw a baseball-shaped rock at you, I think.
I think you did too, and it didn't faze me one bit.
Nice play on words there. All right, well, we are back here now to do.
That was a good. There you go.
It was good. It was great. No, it was very well done. So we did the Sisko's Niners here in the first half of our all-Star Trek team panel.
It's so lame and so fun to say at the same time.
It's fantastic.
The all-Star Trek team.
Yes. We're now going to do the Q's Omnipotence, who, of course, are managed by.
Ray, thank you for saying that.
Of course, not a problem. I that's one word I actually do not stumble on for whatever reason. But that's a perfect picture of Q, in my opinion.
It is such an old-timey baseball. You can see him in a White Sox jersey here with the hat and the leather.
He's got the Raleigh Fingers mustache almost. He's
listening.
Ready to go.
Yeah, you need to watch. You need to watch this one. That's evil Q getting ready for a baseball. This sums Q up in this new episode of Deep Space Nine that we're creating. He wants to have some fun, and he's putting another team that can fight. Ray, should we tell the people about the team?
Yeah.
Are you listening? Do you guys watching? Do you want to know the bad guy team, the bad guy girl team? You do. Okay, let's get into it.
Yes, it is going to be fantastic. We're starting off here. Obviously, we had Jean-Luc Picard on the mound for the Sisko's Niners, so it only makes sense that one of his greatest nemesis
makes a lot of sense here, Ray.
I know, that's right? It's the Borg Queen, right? Yes. She is on the mound for Q's Omnipotence.
She has a body, for those of you wondering. She has a body. She's the Borg Queen.
Form. Yes. For this, she has to take a humanoid form, of course, in order to participate. And she happily does so for one more chance to lock horns with Picard.
Yes, it's a better nemesis than was in the Nemesis film, right? She makes first contact with the ball as the pitcher. All of you get me. Obviously, the picture that we're showing on the screen here is from the Picard season 3. Let's just be honest. It's evil, it's dark, and it's cool looking. That's why we picked it. All right, no offense to the other actress. The Borg Queen, look, she can pitch. She's got some scary pitches. All right. Obviously, resistance is futile. I mean, you could throw all of the fun Star Trek things into this one. Number 1 pitch, Ray, the assimilation.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, no, that's got to be it.
That's got to be it. I know. We'll say it's a curve. We'll say it's a curveball.
Yeah, resistance is futile. It's futile. It doesn't matter how you say it. Borg Queen, and perfect to go against Picard as well. So some of the picks, not all the picks, but for this team, like they work with the other team, right? It's like you got to match the lineup a little bit. So the Borg Queen with a body So
Yeah.
one of the only times we have to say that in sports talk is on the mound to start for the Q's Omnipotence. I'm going to keep practicing as we go through that. Q's team.
There you go. and as Lee mentioned, again, some of these will be direct correlations to the good guys.
For sure.
And in this case, our first relief pitcher is another one of those.
Has to be.
We have Data, of course, coming in out of the pen as our first reliever.
You
for
know
Sisko's
who it's going to
Niners.
be, people. If it's Data,
so it has to be his evil brother. Lore is the first reliever coming in for Q's Omnipotence.
Yes.
Obvious
before it
reasons
can
here.
be the Bat Boy, their other brother, for both teams. But Lore is this person. He has to go against his brother.
Yeah, 100%. Brother versus brother. It's classic baseball. It's Yankees, Red Sox. It's White Sox, Cubs. It's all that fun stuff. Yeah. There's really not much to say about Lore.
No. This one just kind of makes sense. The next one, though, is a little bit funny. So the next person loves Picard and hates Picard all at the same time, right? Because he wants to be better than Picard. And who better would that person be than his evil clone, Shinzon, or Shinzone, depending on how you like to say it. Played by a young Tom Hardy, by the way. I know you all know that. A lot of people don't know this was like his first film. And you can tell it's him, but he was very different looking at that time of his life. But yeah, he's a middle reliever. And in the battle of good versus evil, this is the guy that might throw the game or win the game. You know, he's a wild thing. You never know what's going to happen here. You can't control his emotions. You know what I mean?
And again, he's
definitely
also
needs some sun in this picture.
Yes.
Yeah.
And again, he's a reliever because he's not obviously as matured as Picard himself. He's obviously not as he's not as good as Picard. Although he wants to be, and of course, like he said, he aspires to be. He again, that love and hate for Picard at the same time. But as of right now, he's a wild seventh inning guy. You don't know what you're going to get out of him. Is he going to throw into the backstop over the catcher's head like a Aroldis Chapman, or is he going to throw a 101 mile an hour fastball for a strike? You don't know what you're going to get out of him.
Now, Ray, here's a discussion that just popped in my head because I don't think this has ever happened before in Star Trek. What would the conversations be if you're Jean-Luc Picard between your younger clone, who happens to be around the same age of your actual son?
Yeah.
It's an interesting conversation that will never happen.
I knew where you were going before you even said it, because I was like, that would be interesting if Crusher met Shinzon.
Can you imagine Shinzon pitching to Jack Crusher?
He might in our fictional lineup. He might.
That would be an interesting stare down. He'd probably hit him.
I think Crusher would crush him though.
Yeah, or he'd get him. He'd intentionally. I mean, hit him. He'd probably hit him.
Shinzon would just plunk him in the backside and just not even and just be like,
yeah. And Jean-Luc in the bullpen. What are you doing? Anyway, that's not his voice. I don't know why he did that. All right, that's Shinzon. Ray, why don't you tell him the next our final relieving pitcher here?
Next one. This was an interesting one. Originally a good guy, but of course mostly known now as a bad guy because he's the mirror universe version of this original person, Gabriel Lorca, right? So that's why he's on the villain team. Obviously, we still don't. I mean, to my knowledge, Lorca's assumed dead in the mirror universe when he got swapped with his mirror version. Folks, I'm sure will correct me if I'm wrong here in the chat and be like, well, actually, but from what I remember, and yeah, I mean, he's just gonna be a good, solid guy out of the bullpen for Q's Omnipotence.
Just like the show, he used to play for the Niners, and then he was turned coat. He didn't get traded. He signed in the offseason with Q's team. That's you want the guy to get hit on, but he's good at what he does.
He's getting $2 million this year, and then he's going to get $68 million after the game is over.
Yes, even though there's no money in Star Trek, in this baseball team management, there is.
That's right. Yes.
Yes. The Ferengi are running that, by the way, for anybody wondering why we don't have any Ferengi on the team. They are all behind the scenes.
They're all the general managers and the owners. Yeah.
All of them are there if you're wondering where they're at. But no, look, this guy's good enough to fool everybody. I imagine he'd be a pretty good pitcher on a serious note, right? He was able to kind of have a lot of espionage there and fool everybody. So as a pitcher, this is a guy. Is it a changeup? Is it a fastball? You're not going to know.
I was just about to say he two-pitch pitcher, fastball, changeup, and you don't know which one's coming.
Right. So. Our closer rate, it might be controversial for some people. Because again, we said the closer has to close the game, and this guy is going to be somewhat unbearable to have on the mound because he's going to wear you down by talking, by his intimidation. people will look at him and say, how can he pitch with one eye? How can he do that? Well, it just helps him out. General Chang is our closer. And when he's not uttering Shakespeare to annoy you, he is throwing fastballs at 101 miles per hour down that plate at whoever's standing there. Again, looks like a closer minus the eye. Fantastic actor, by the way, from all of our childhood. Christopher Plummer, well beloved. But as a Klingon, he's a closer. You have to have a Klingon as a closer. Totally. You have to have a Klingon as a closer. Klingon's a closer. We can make a T-shirt out of that.
All the pressure's on, right? Yeah. He wants that the thrill of combat. It's right there, and he knows that it's all up to him. And he's a general. You want a general there with experience, with the knowledge of how to get the last 3 hitters out, lock it down, get the win, move on.
Yeah, and now that brings us to now the field, okay? Mm-hmm. And we got to remember, when we were picking these players, we didn't want to overpower the team. We wanted to pick a team that would really want to beat the Niners. That's what Q would do. He's going to bring back all the best villains, right, from Star Trek. So a lot of these people have the motivation to win because they like to win, but they really just want to beat the other team, right? So behind home plate, the Borg Queen is pitching to Nero. All right, Nero from another time. Also, works with Spock being behind the plate. All right, he really hates Spock. We know that. So he's going to do anything he can to beat Spock, but he's making the calls. All right, and here's the thing, and I'm gonna pull it a little bit here. As a man out of time, a man who traveled from the future to the past, he's got some knowledge here. I don't know when this game takes place, but he probably knows a lot because he comes from pretty far in the future in the Star Trek universe. All right, that's it. I'm picking Nero. This was a better performance than people gave it credit for. Very angry young man.
Yeah. No, he's got the perfect catcher.
At one point. All right, you got to have him in the game.
He's perfect catcher mentality, catcher build. He's a strong guy. He'll be able to, and like you said, he'll call a good game because he knows how to the good calls to make. Also,
Spock, Vulcan, Nero, Romulan. It works in the antithesis way.
Yeah. So no, absolutely. Should be fun to see him behind the plate. This one I laughed at because we went with Morn for first base for Sisko's Niners, and I immediately went, well, like, what's the antithesis to Morn? And I just went Gorn.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is from the arena. From the
original. Look at that at first base, Ray. This guy might bite your head off if you do something there. Can you imagine the pickoff play here?
Yeah, that's right.
Gorn.
Well, he takes the baseball in 2 hands and then swiftly
as you saw at the midpoint of this broadcast.
Yes,
he's pretty tough. But look, I imagine too.
In a bear hug at first base.
This guy could hit. He could hit just the same way as Morn. All right, but probably can't run too fast, as we know. But
which is perfect for first base.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want him moving around a lot. He has to be very limber, but I think a fun antithesis to
Morn versus Gorn.
The random Gorn from the arena. So
there's only one Gorn in this league, by the way. Okay.
Yes.
Moving on to second base. Want to have a trickster. You want to have somebody who's
another fun one.
Yeah, and whether you agree with me or not, he's a major villain within the Star Trek universe. Harry Mudd is at second place. And again, perfect old-timey baseball-looking gentleman here.
Yes.
He does wear that hat on the field, not a baseball cap.
Yeah.
And again, this is a guy at second place. He could be distracting. He could be serious. He could be not. Harry Mudd, right? Yeah. Who Rain Johnson plays today. But Harry Mudd is the guy.
He's the Jose Altuve of the league, right? Like, he's in the dugout banging on trash cans, he's wearing a buzzer underneath his jersey, and nobody knows. He's like, "Don't take it off! Don't take it off!" As he rounds the bases. That is Harry Mudd.
Yeah, by the way, I said Rain Wilson.
Wilson, of course,
for some reason, I had Randy Johnson in my head. It comes with the territory, folks. When you mix sports and geek them together, you're gonna Rain Wilson. I apologize. Plays him today.
Yeah, no, Harry Mudd. A perfect evil second baseman.
Looks evil. That looks like a second baseman to me.
Yeah.
That guy's stealing calls. Yeah, guy's definitely stealing calls.
Absolutely. He has stolen every signal, banged on every trash can,
used
every camera possible. Harry Mudd. Yeah, he actually might. I actually heard he might actually go to play for the Houston Astros.
He already does, buddy. Yeah, no offense to anybody in Houston, but that's how we feel.
Yes, watch the other episodes of Geeks Who Like Sports to get caught up on our thoughts on the Houston
Plenty of
Astros.
episodes.
Yes. This was another fun one. Again, we needed somebody strong.
Yes, I was adamant about this
base.
one. I was one of the first people I said must be on the team.
Yes. Lee, do you want to handle third base
Yeah,
again?
no, third base is Gul Dukat, and it has to be. We'll just call him Dukat for this. One, look at that picture if you're watching. Guys got a baseball, obviously on Deep Space Nine. You'll remember that episode. Cardassian, very strong, maniacal, deceiving, emissary of the pod race. So the gods listen to him. Not really, but you know what I mean. Right. This is a man with power that, like you said, when you look at our third baseman, 7 of 9, Dukat, probably the better third baseman in some aspects.
He's going to be a slick fielding third baseman.
Yeah, this guy can throw the ball to first in a heartbeat. And again, mean, right?
Yeah.
Maniacal. I'm going to say it again. Again, a guy when you were watching Deep Space Nine, you didn't root for this man to win. All right. But he often did, which is what you want at third base. So Gul Dukat or Dukat, depending on what you want to call him. We'll say without God powers, because that would be unfair.
Yeah.
At third base, just general, just general, not general like the general, but like General Dukat, Gul Dukat.
Yeah,
it's kind of like a general. You get where I'm going.
Absolutely.
Now we skipped over shortstop. Because shortstop is a diva position.
Yes. And again, a diva position, a captain for the team, a classic, and also an antithesis for Kirk. It can only be one man, a superhuman of sorts. It has to be Khan!
There's no other way to do it. We saved it for now.
Yeah.
If you didn't laugh, I'm sorry. But there's only one way to say the word.
Yeah.
Khan! Yeah. All right. I'm not going to do the Spock version from the other alternate universe because I don't think he did it as good as William Shatner did.
No.
We're talking about the Khan. Here at the Khan. We're at Virtual TrekCon. Talking about Khan. Khan's a shortstop. Super strong, super athletic, super old, doesn't matter. This is a veteran player. He knows what to do. And again, Kirk is our shortstop on the other team. Khan's not settling for anything less than trying to embarrass Kirk. We know that. Khan.
Yeah. Absolutely. So that
finishes
off our
Look at that picture, Ray. Look at that picture. Look at that shortstop right there.
Yeah.
There you go. That is a man right there.
Yeah. And honestly, and any version of Khan works. Either Ricardo Montalban, Benedict Cumberbatch, like you take your pick, in my opinion, for this particular exercise.
You're right. I either do work. They both have, obviously like one's very tall, right?
Yeah.
So you win either way here, right? But
Right.
Khan at the Khan. I've always wanted to say that. Khan is at the Khan.
Yeah. We move now to the outfield. We have
This is a great outfield. This is a great outfield.
Yes, I will spoil it now. We have a full Klingon outfield, right? And we start in left with Lursa Duras.
Yep.
Just the epitome of evil.
Yes.
Her and her sister. Again, though, but powerful, obviously, as a Klingon, right? Obviously, she's competitive. She has that nature. She is going to be
extremely competitive and always looking for a way to win or get advantage of somebody else. A competitor, if you will, in this phase. Obviously, if Lursa's here, her sister's nearby. But for right now, left field is Lursa. I've always enjoyed the sisters as characters, right? Like that I actively, I don't want to say despise, but I'm like, oh man, they're so evil. they can't win. Like Lursa's one of them. I was not a fan of when they let them go. Also, in Star Trek Journey, that's over 20 years ago. So if you didn't see that, I don't know what to tell you. But Lursa is definitely out there in the outfield. And again, our bad guy, Omnipotence outfield, all Klingons, all very strong. You would not want to hit the ball out to the outfield because they're going to get you, right? There's no chance of you running past wherever you're supposed to be.
Right.
All right. So Lursa is in left field.
Yes, and in center field, not surprisingly, now have a commander, right? We need somebody, of course, to be more of a leader in that outfield.
Bit of a diva.
Bit of a diva in his own right, for sure. But of course, the main villain of Star Trek 3, Commander Krug.
Yes.
Christopher Lloyd.
I can see someone rounding third. I want to go to rounding second. I want to go to third. No, why? Because you wish it.
Yeah.
That's one of his lines.
Yes.
It was always weird I mean, Ray, you and I are at the right age for this. It was always weird for me to see Christopher Lloyd in Star Trek because obviously we knew him as Doc.
Yeah.
But he did a good job in this film, with the Genesis project. And look, honestly, probably caused Kirk more pain than anyone at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Having taken his son. So Krug, maniacal. Again, a good antithesis. Really nothing like Jack Crusher. Again, might give them a little bit of an advantage.
Yeah. And we teased it before and left with Lursa, obviously right field, her sister, Betor.
Yep. Yeah. The sisters are out in the outfield, obviously.
Yeah.
The Dora sisters are out there. Really enjoyed them. Really love them throughout the Star Trek universe in multiple shows. They're competitors. They're the type of athletes you'd want on your team.
I mean, you've got 3 big, powerful Klingons in the outfield. That is intimidating, and that is going to make for a potent lineup.
Yes. Potables.
Yes.
I just say it.
But of course, the lineup is not complete because just like the Niners, there is a DH.
Ray, I'm going to let you introduce it while I open this nice cold can of Zoa energy drink.
Once again our non-sponsor.
Non-sponsor here for the show. We do non-sponsors every episode. But Ray, why don't you tell them why
somebody becomes an actual sponsor? If anybody actually wants to be an actual sponsor.
Yes, if anybody wants to sponsor this wonderful show, especially those of you out there, we would love to work with people from Virtual TrekCon or any of you in your lovely lives and businesses. But for the moment, our DH is connected to Zoa. Some of you might know about Zoa. It's owned by a very popular person in the world. Ray, I'm going to take a sip of this Zoa with Living Healthy Extra Balanced vitamins. Tell them why I'm drinking the Zoa.
Because our DH is the Pandari champion played by Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Look at that man right there. There he is, The Rock. Back to being The Rock, by the way, at the time of this recording.
Yes. As we are recording this, he is heel Rock again, back in the WWE. I mean, look, in Star Trek, he's already a champion.
Yes, it's in his name.
You want a winner on your team, somebody who knows how to win and, of course, knows how to hit. And he just, obviously, the Pandari champion at the DH spot is just a no-brainer.
Yeah, and again, this is his name in the show. It is Pandari champion.
Yeah.
He was also in, obviously, our last episode from Virtual TrekCon, which you can check out, obviously, the sports of Star Trek. We went over the Pandari champion, famously fought 7 of 9, so he got some strength. He's cleaning up. The Rock is cleaning up. This is pretty cool if you're a fan of the Omnipotence. All right, the Pandari champion at DH. Now let's quickly shift over to the batting lineup because actually we're getting pretty good on time. But we always worry we're not going to have enough to do the time for these things, but they just fly by.
It just flies by.
So let's go. Batting order for Q's team.
Similar to the Niners, we have Gorn leading off the first baseman, power hitting first baseman at
look
number
at that
1 spot.
Monster. The monster up to bat against Picard. This is awesome.
Immediately trying to intimidate Picard. It won't happen. But
what do you think Kirk says to Picard before the first pitch? Just throw it at him?
Throw it at his head.
Yeah, throw it. Gorn number 1.
Yeah. In 2 and 3, this is again, they're the corner outfielders. We have Lursa in the 2 spot. And then we have Betor in the 3 spot. Again, I mean, you could mix and match. You can flip him and flop him if you want. But again, power hitter, it's basically just continuing. Whereas the Niners have a more traditional lineup, I feel, for baseball. In Q's Omnipotence is just power after power after power. And obviously having back-to-back Klingons there in the lineup following after Gorn just continues that.
Yeah, no, it makes sense to have the sisters right there. And then obviously cleanup because these people like to get on base. I have it written down as The Rock, but it's the Pandari champion.
Yes, you mentioned he's the cleanup guy. He continues to just roll.
What's his walk-up music, Ray?
Well,
do you smell what the Pandari champion is cooking? Ha!
Yeah, that's it,
It
right?
was funnier when I did it in my head. But that's who it is. The Pandari champion is up there against Jean-Luc Picard. What do you think Picard's going to pitch to him?
I mean,
it doesn't matter what you think it's going to pitch to him. Yes.
Moving on to the 5 hole.
Oh my God. My life's complete. And please, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you got to look that up. Ray,
Go watch the
Ray, you were the butt of that joke, but you're my brother and you took it and I appreciate it.
No, it was well done. It was well done on your part. Congratulations to you, my friend.
Thank you, Ray. All right.
So, the 5 hole, Again, more power. Khan, right? We needed to have him. Obviously we have Kirk in the 2-hole, more traditional shortstop spot. Khan though can kind of do a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
he's strong. He can hit home runs. He can
could
run.
easily be DH. Like
Yes.
2 DHs in a row here, basically, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could. Yeah, he's got to be in the heart of the lineup. No surprise there. And again, continuing the power, Nero is your number 6 hitter.
Yeah, strong.
Like there is no rest in this lineup.
No,
it is just Yordan Alvarez after Shohei Ohtani after Babe Ruth. It just boom, boom.
Picard is screwball pitching here because if he doesn't do that, he's gonna have some problems.
But that's the thing, Picard. That's why he's crafty. He's wily. He'll still figure a way to get his outs, but it's not going to be easy. Especially because then Ducat is number 7 at third base.
Another power.
He's the 7th hitter.
Yeah, a lot of power on this team.
Absolutely. And then we have Krug 8 again, another strong Klingon. Maybe not the strongest of Klingons. Again, a guy who he's a bit more crafty than you usually get out of, I think, a lot more Klingons. That's why he's a little further down in the lineup, but he's still got Klingon strength. He still can knock the ball out of the park. So your 1 through 8s are just absolute monsters.
All power hitters. Yeah, they connect the ball, it's going out.
And then number 9 is Harry Mudd.
Yeah,
he's your speed. He's your crafty, wily speed guy.
He's just gonna lean into the pitch.
Exactly. His job is to get hit by every pitch, work a walk, just be very, very pesky at the bottom of the lineup, and then wait for Gorn to come up after him. Like that is his job. Yeah. He's the one guy who is not going to knock the ball out of the park. He is the one break Picard might have. But then, like you said, Lee, he might lean into the pitch and get first base anyway.
Right.
So
now, listen, we're running very short on time. Ray and I are going to discuss quickly who would win this game, right? As we continue on this episode of Deep Space Nine that we've created. Obviously, in the chat, start writing now who you think would win. All right. Now, I have my logic for this, Ray, which I'll probably explain to you in a minute. But who do you think would win between these two teams? We want to know
what you think.
Again, for those of you listening, you know what we're doing. For those of you who've never seen us before, and all of our mashups, we throw this to the audience at the end. But Ray, this is my thought. Mm-hmm. Trying to keep it kind of in the Roddenberry-esque storytelling. There's a moral. There's a reason Q brought this team, and it's to teach Sisko something. Okay. Mm-hmm. And Q doesn't even really manage the team. He probably just makes other managers from history appear. Yeah. And what's going to happen is there's too many managers. Right. And they're giving conflicting reports. Not to mention, a lot of the people on the Omnipotence team cannot stand other species. They want their species to be the supreme species. So they probably start off the game with a huge lead. Yeah. All right. They might be hitting and getting in home runs and stuff like that, getting a little full of themselves. But eventually they're going to start arguing about who has the better species or who has the better lineage. Right.
The Borg Queen starts trying to assimilate people in the dugout. It becomes a mess.
Right. It's going to become a problem and they're going to start fighting. Meanwhile, on Sisko's Niners, strategy, peace, they're going to work together like they do in Star Trek. They're going to find a way forward. They're going to realize the other team is all power hitters and start really changing their pitching. Riker's going to make the right calls. They're going to work their butts off in the outfield and they're slowly going to chip away. So when they get to the top or the bottom of the 9th or extra innings, that is when they come through. That is when Ray, of all people, Worf steps up to the plate. Worf steps up to the plate, and he is there, and he is looking. And I don't know who's pitching at that part. Let's just say General Chang's in. We'll have Klingon versus Klingon, and Worf hits the walk-off, whatever, for them to win the game. With the lesson being, it's something I believe in wholeheartedly, and if you guys look up my resume, you'll see this. The team that believes in each other and works together can defeat the other team. A talented team is good. They're great to have talent.
Talent can only take you so far.
Right. A team will beat a group of individuals. And at the end of the day, the Omnipotence are a group of individuals. And that's Q's message to Sisko that you have to survive when you're a prophet by working with everybody else.
Yeah.
There you go. But what do you think? Honestly, do you agree with us? Do you agree with our picks? Did you change it up? Is our batting order right? Are our athletes right? Let us know. And obviously, before I forget, make sure to check our show out, Geeks Who Like Sports. You can find us all over the place, geekswholiksports.com. All of our episodes are available there. We do 2 episodes weekly, sports and geekdom together, and our weekly mashups where we mash them together just like this. This is our longest mashup ever, and it was fun.
Yes, no, it was fun. Yeah, and like Lee said, you can follow us. If you like what you see here, follow us on YouTube. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. We appreciate it. And yeah, I agree with you, Lee. I think it's going to be a game that the Omnipotence jump out in front early.
Yep.
But especially, I really like the Niners bullpen. Right, I think the Niners have a distinct advantage in the bullpen over the Omnipotence, and I think that's when that lineup comes through. And I think that the Niners win 6-5 with a walk. I like your idea of a walk off by Worf.
Yeah, and to be fair, if it's not a walk off, it's just Spock coming in to close the game.
If the Niners are the away team, they'll take the lead in the top of the ninth, and then Spock will strike out the side in the bottom of the ninth.
Right. So, well, my friends, that is our time. I want to once again thank you all for giving us the time for watching this. It really is a passion, sports and geekdom for us. But again, as someone who grew up with Star Trek having such an immense role in my life, even as guiding principles as a human being, it is an honor to be here today. I want to thank everybody at Virtual TrekCon for allowing Ray and I to come on here again, a second time. The sequel, will we guide a trilogy? You'll find out in the future. We'll have to come up with another topic, Ray. Maybe we'll make a hockey team or a football team or something. Anyway.
Yes.
Just a team of Gorns versus a team of Morns will be our football team.
I would love to see that. Actually, I want to see that. I want to see that as hockey. I want to see six Gorns versus 6 Morns on ice skates.
There you go. That'll be the next episode. Ray, I'll let you close it out, but sincerely, everyone watching, thank you so much. I'll be in the chat here for a little bit with you, and enjoy the rest of Virtual TrekCon.
Yes. Thank you to Virtual TrekCon again for having us, and thank you for everybody for watching and participating. We greatly appreciate it. But until next time, for Lee, I'm Ray. We are the Geeks Who Like Sports, and this has been the All-Star Trek team panel. Good night, everybody.